Motown, a number one Motown hit on WTBC, 1230 WTBC survey, August 8, 1963. A wondrous debut indeed. A stratospheric debut by Stevie Wonder. Fingertips, his first hit record going number one, 13 years old. That is heady stuff when you're very young. Stevie Wonder at number 8 on WTBC's playlist off the Tamla label associated with Motown. August 8th, 1963. Fingertips, it started out as a jazz instrumental. It was off of Stevie Wonder's first studio album. It was something like the jazz soul of Stevie Wonder, but a live version of this record with some lyrics added in was showcased. It was at the Regal Theater in Chicago, performed live by Stevie Wonder as part of the Motown Review. The Motown Review, where all the Motown groups or some of the Motown groups would be out on the road performing at various venues. Kind of like, a little bit like Dick Clark, Caravan of Stars, way back in the day, back in the 60s. And this tune basically showcased Stevie Wonder's talent on the harmonica, the bongos, and a little bit of vocal ability. Marvin Gaye plays drums on this record too. The song was a brainchild of Stevie Wonder's producers and mentors at the time, Clarence Paul and Henry Cosby. Clarence Paul sang backup on Stevie Wonder's version of Blowing in the Wind. You might remember that came out. I don't even remember the year that song came out. Maybe it was in 66, might have been later than that. But here's another thing about Clarence Paul. He wrote the song Until You Come Back to Me, That's What I'm Going to Do. Remember that? He wrote that for Stevie Wonder, but it was later given to Aretha Franklin. She turned that song into a major hit back in the fall of 1973. As a matter of fact, that was Aretha Franklin's last top 10 hit until Freeway of Love in 1985. That song co-written by Clarence Paul, Until You Come Back to Me. Anyway, by the way, another statistic about this record. This was the first, according to Wikipedia, first live non-studio recording that went to number one on Billboard's Hot 100. But that was in the rock and roll era. It's not the first time. 1952, a guy named Johnny Stanley went to number one, a live version, a comedy song. It's in the book. That came out in 1952. But anyway, live songs don't usually go to number one on the charts. Doesn't happen that often, but every now and then it does. But it certainly did happen for Stevie Wonder. Boy, he made a big splash with this record. Splish Splash, yes indeed. At number 8, Fingertips Part 2 on WTBC. Yes, the legendary WTBC, spreading the musical philosophy of WTBC across the world. As it was, the station I grew up with, one of the top 40 stations I grew up with. This playlist compiled the week of August 8th, 1963.